Hey everybody, welcome to my studio. It's Joanne Rogers. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. So welcome again to my Facebook Live. It is Wednesday and it's time to have an on live paper crafting class. So what I'd like you to do is while we wait and have a few people joining in, when you do join in, just let me know where you're watching this from. And maybe if you had any craft time in the last weekend. I know in Alberta, I was in Ontario till last night, and through delays with the airport and things like that, I didn't get home till really late. Glad to be home, but boy, do we have no snow here compared to what northwestern Ontario has, Thunder Bay. Mounds and mounds of snow. So we should count ourselves lucky. So again, if you are just coming on, let me know where you're watching from. I'm going to get myself set up here on my iPad so that I can see your comments as they come in. And it's just going to take me a minute here to find it. There we go. And I'm going to turn it down, mute it so that I can just see comments as they're coming in. And once I turn down to the table, then I won't be able to see my phone anymore. So I hope you're all having a great week. It is the second week of the Canada Games, and we're getting close, winter games here in Red Deer, and we're getting close to the end of them. So hopefully you're able to find some time to take something in. Hi Judy, thanks for coming and watching. And let me know if you have been to anything, and if it was, what did you go see? Did you go see curling or figure skating? That's what I think I'd like to take in later this week. So, okay, I've got some housekeeping to do. So first thing we have to do is pick for last week's prize. And so last week I was working with the Fable Friends, and you might remember this cute little bunny. So the Fable Friends stamp set, and it has the bunny, and it had the mother. We were having a conversation about whether they were goose or whether they were ducks. I think they were ducks. And so mother duck and her little ducklings, and then there's a little squirrel in there too. So all of my posts last week were about that stamp set, and we made this during last week's Facebook Live. So I used the random Facebook selector, and Lori Napick, you were the winner, and so I'm going to get this to you, and you're in Red Deer, so I don't need to try and make it flat and get it in the mail, so I will drop this off to you if you send me a quick message. So when you're the winner, if you can just send me a quick message and we can get together and work out a time that's going to work for both of us, and then I can get it to you. So that's great. So that's last week's taken care of. My product of the week this week, I am working with Stampin' Write markers. And for anyone who knows me, you know that I love, love, love my markers. And mostly I love my markers for brush lettering, but they are perfect for stamping and paper crafting as well. So one of the things I looked at is my steal of a deal is the Many Marvelous markers. So this great set of markers here, and I've got my in color also in the back. So the Many Marvelous markers they're a little bit pricey, but when you think about it, it's every single color in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, and it's less than half the cost if you are going to be buying the stamp pads. So stamp pads, yeah, great and perfect for stamping, especially larger images. But if you want to get all of the colors really quickly, then Stampin' Writes are probably the way that you want to go. So my steal of a deal this week is if you purchase the Many Marvelous markers, and they come in that great set, then I will get you whichever one of the in colors you would like, the 2017 to 2019, which is going to be retiring here at the end of June, or the 2018-20 set. And we are going to use, well, I have used, you're going to see with the project, I have used some of the in colors in what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so I need to let you know that starting on Friday, we are going to be having something called Celebration Coordination, and it's the first time that Stampin' Up! Has done this. And if you got any of the free celebration sets, the So Happy to See You, the Lasting Lilies, the Hello Cupcake, or if you just got the Painted Seasons bundle, then what's available just for the month of March are framelits that will cut those out for you. So instead of you having to fussy cut them and cut around those flowers or cut around the little frogs, these are framelits that will do it for you. So I'm just going to turn you down right now and I'm going to show you the flyer. Let me know what that looks like. Can you see fine? You can also probably see my floor. Hopefully I don't have to adjust it. I'm going to move my little bunny here so it doesn't have anything happen to it. Okay, so celebration coordination. So this is just the front of the flyer, and it's just one that I'm printing off of the computer. But you can see the how they've used the framelits here to cut around that beautiful lasting lily. And we have also the lily pad here, and the frogs cut out, and the cupcake. And then there's a great cupcake. Oh, I don't even know what they call that. The dome that goes over top of your muffins and things like that. And then there's a punch as well. So I'll turn it over here. And there's a stamp set. So there's a new stamp set here that goes with all of the celebration stamp sets that we have. So some really great sayings. There's something for every time of the year, New Year's and Christmas, and that's because that painted season bundle is all seasons. Hopping by and jumping in, that would be for our So Hoppy. The sweet is cupcake, but you can, use these interchangeably for sure. Pull it up a little bit, and I know it's going to be really hard to see because this didn't print off fantastically on my computer, but these are the lily framelits. So there's 2, 4, 6, 7 of those, the Call Me Cupcake Thinlits, and these ones will be fabulous. There's a little cake stand, and there's the dome that goes over top. There's some candles in there. There's 3 little items that will be picks for the top of the cupcakes. Here's our hop around framelit. So there's our frogs and the lily pads and around those cute little flies. Here's the Four Seasons framelits. So the Four Seasons, you may not have seen very much of them yet. They are a really nice set, and mine is out sitting ready for a class for tomorrow morning, so I don't have it really close at hand. But it's more of the distinctive stamps, and it's there's a couple flowers in there. There's an acorn, some leaves. It is a very pretty stamp set. And then the story label punch. So this was a brand new punch for us. So I love punches, so I'll be getting this one for sure. And again, this will be available. So that's $24. So just to give you the prices of these. So these are a purchase item, and you can also earn celebration rewards with it. So $37 for each of the framelits, and the Four Seasons are $38, and then the stamp set is $22. So certainly if those appeal to you, I'm going to have an email go out and with all the information on the codes so that you'll be able to pick those up. And these will be while supplies last too. So some of the things are already sold out for celebration. As you know, we have sold out the organza, organdy ribbon, sold out the foil paper, the butterfly elements, and there's one other thing sold out too, and I can't think of what it is. Oh, the kit, the parcel post kit is also sold out. So celebration is going fantastic. So if there is something that you want to pick up, you're going to want to make sure that you get it before it's gone. Okay, so today we are going to be working with how we can use our Stampin' Write markers to create watercolor backgrounds. So I love watercolor, and I think that most people know that already, but we often don't think about using our markers for watercolor. We think about using our aqua painter and picking up ink from the lid of our pad, or we think about mixing up some of our refill ink, which is what we did last week with the little Easter bunny. But today I'm going to show you how you can make super quick and fast. Quick and fast are the same thing, I realize. Super quick and easy backgrounds. So I'm going to make a background, and then I'm going to have you guys, because it needs to dry, we won't be using this one, but I have a couple more prepared, and you're going to pick which ones we're going to work with. So I have here Pumpkin Pie, Granny Apple Green, and Poppy Parade. And I'm not going to put them down in any particular order. I'm always going to use the brush tip for this particular application. I'm going to take all of the lids off right now so I can get them down at about the same time. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to scribble on, not using a lot of skill here, or not planning how I want it to look. I just want to get that down. I'll just put my lids on. Now that will dry on there, but we are going to give it a shot with our spritzer. So I think most of you know that I put a little arrow on my spritzer in the direction of where the hole is so that I don't spray myself. So now you are just going to give it a really good spritz of water, and you'll see that it will start to move right away. And there's a lot of water on there, so I don't even know how many spritzes that was. Probably, I don't know how many. Anybody count? Maybe that was about 12 or so. So I've got a paper towel here. Now I can just leave this and let it dry, which is usually what I do, or I can pick up if I don't like what's happening in some of these places. So I didn't talk at all about what I did here. So I've just taken a piece of my watercolor paper. I've used a little bit of the lower tack masking tape, and I've just taped it down to a fairly solid surface. So this is I don't even know what this came from, but it's like a clipboard. So if you have a clipboard at home, that'll work too. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit. So I've just got a paper towel, and I'm going to use the tip of the paper towel, and I'm going to go right in here because I'm not so sure that I like the color that's happening here. So I'm going to touch it into that wet puddle, and it is just going to sop up some of that water. So that's what you can easily do, is sop up some of the water if you want. You can pick this up and turn it around, but because I have so much water on here right now, it is probably going to turn into mud if I do that. So I am not going to do that. I'm going to let this just dry the way it is. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that. That orange and that green together is making a brown, which is okay, but that's not what I want. So I'm just going to place this to the side. If you wanted to speed this up, you could use your heat tool. I could go in there and I could pick up a lot of that water just with my paper towel, or you could use your heat tool and you could give it a shot. I don't tend to do that too much. I like the look of it better if it just dries naturally and all by itself. So that was all we're going to do to create our background. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to put on top of the background. So I'm going to put this aside, and you can see just picking it up, I made that water move a little bit and made it move down here too. So I'm going to very carefully put it over on my desk. And then I'm going to come back. Here we go. So we are going to work with the Delightfully Detailed laser paper. And I've had this paper since the catalog first came out in, when was that? In June. And I think I've used it once. Now this one, I had it sitting not quite flat, so there we go. And so I'm going to show you this in the catalog because these ones, you almost don't notice them. They're a good size, but we don't really notice them, I don't think, because they're not colorful. You can't really see them. But they are $19, so they're a specialty paper, and you get 8 sheets in total. So you get 4 each of 2 designs. One big design that has a bunch of different cutouts on it. And then you get this one, this sheet that I have in front of you, and it has 6 different panels, and then it has a bunch of different, just little, some of them are only a 1/4 inch tall designs that you can put onto cards. So I want to give you some hints on cutting these out. So when they come in a sheet like this. I'm going to pull in my Stampin' Trimmer here. There we go. And I'm going to, first of all, what you want to do is you want to cut off these long ones first. And so just with my snips, I'm going to go into this guy here, and I'm going to show you here. So it almost comes right to the end of the paper, and I'm just going to snip that off so it does go to the end. So just one little snip there, bring it around to the other side, and another little snip on the other side. So we have just released that panel, and if I was going to use this, I would just cut these into strips, and then I have individual pieces, or you can use it as it is as well. Then on this one here, the one that's also a little bit flimsy, shall we say, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to cut into where that first scallop is, almost right up to it, and do the same thing on this guy here. And then again, if I wanted to use those, I would just use my paper trimmer and go straight down. So what I want to do though is I want to cut one of these panels, and I'm just going to show you one of them because I do have some that are already cut out. And so I'm just going to move my paper towel so it's not in the way, and we're done with our spritzer. So what I'm doing is I am lining up and I'm going to eyeball this. So there are no measurements on this paper, but when you put it in here, I'm going to use it against the lip of my cutter, and I'm going to put it right in there, and I'm going to see down here. Don't know if you can see, I think I'm off the screen. Down at the bottom, I'm just trying to eyeball that it's going to be straight. And I can see that I have my trough here running all the way underneath there so that I can cut that all the way down. I put my cutting blade right to the top, and then I'm holding this down and with a little bit of pressure, not too much though, and then I'm just going to cut straight down. You want to make sure you have a nice sharp cutting blade in your trimmer. You don't want a dull one in there. And then I'm just going to put this in, and again I am just going to eyeball it again so that I'm going to have the same amount of vanilla on the left, that's the right, on the right as I have on the left. So center it again so that my trough is in the middle there. And I have it right up against the lip here, but this is very delicate paper. It's beautiful paper, but you just have to be a little bit more careful with it for best results. Okay, so then I have my two pieces cut out. So I've got one like that. I've got one like this. I could leave these on, but I think I'm going to cut those off as well. So I'll cut these off, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with them. So you're not always going to get the exact same size of panel. Well, you can. I just found that I can't get exactly the same size every single time. So it's a little bit wider here than it is here. And I can put that in and try and trim that down a bit. But I'm not so worried about it because the beauty of these panels is the intricate detail on the inside. So this is the cream side, so the very vanilla side, and these are made so that they're two-sided, and we have nice bright whisper white on the other side. So you ladies have some choices coming up, and I'm going to need you to weigh in and tell me what we want to use. So I'm not going to cut the rest of them. I have some already cut here, and I have some backgrounds already done. So the background that we just did here, I have one that is all dried, so I'm going to pull it in. So this one here, I had my pumpkin pie here, and then I think I had my green on the one that I showed you. So I have pumpkin pie, poppy parade, and I have granny apple green. So that's one of our choices that you're going to need to let me know which one I'm going to be creating today, because I'm not sure. That's one. The second one is a much softer look. So this is, what did I put on here? I put Petal Pink, Highland, I wrote it on the back. I put Blushing Bride, Highland Heather, which is our lighter lavender color, and then I put some Gorgeous Grapes, so some of our dark purple. So that is our second choice. And then our last choice, and the first two people that let me know what we're going to be using, that's what I'm going to go with. And our third choice is in the pinks. So we have, on this one, we have Melon Mambo. No, which order? We started with the Mambo, and we had Berry Burst is down here, and Lovely Lipstick is in the middle. Okay, so ladies, what are we going to be using? Oh, Ruth was first, so I've got one pink so far. I need a second one. What are we going to be using? I need a second person to let me know what it is we would like to make with our, and then we have another decision too. So Ruth has said pinks. How about anybody else that's watching? Any other color that's appealing to you right now? Or is it pinks or purples or this one here? Oh, no, we have two. We have one each. So we have a rainbow. We have the first one. So I'm going to say it's between these two. Oh, no, now we have a purple. Uh-oh. Okay, one more person, tiebreaker. Whoever picks whatever color is what we're going to go with. So purples, pinks, or are we going to go with the rainbow one? So Marilyn said rainbow, Judy said purple, and Ruth said pink. I need someone else to dive in and be the tiebreaker. Or I'm going to have to be. Marilyn says the pinks. I have two Marilyns. Okay, Marilyn Kelly. So we'll put these guys aside. I'll make up something with them a little bit later. So once you have this dried, so you'll see, and I just let mine dry naturally, it dries quite flat, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want, so you have to make sure your watercolor paper is thick enough that it's going to dry flat afterwards, not fat. And then when it's dry, you need to cut off. So I've taken my my masking tape off, and you just pull it up from one side and pull it all the way around to release your paper once it's completely dry. If you don't wait until it's completely dry, then you will have liquid and color going off the sides. So now that I have this, you can see that I have a white border where the masking tape was. I'm going to cut that off. But before I do that, I need to know what size. So you guys are going to have to come in again. So, okay, first of all, are we doing vanilla on top, or are we doing white on top? Vanilla or white? I think I have a preference, but I'm going to wait. First one who picks this one, and you might not be able to tell real well, so let me hold that up. That's the white on the background, and that's the vanilla on the background. So what do you think is more effective, the white or the pink? Yeah, Ruth, I think I have to agree with you. I think maybe the white has it. So now we have to decide, are we doing this guy? That's lattice, I'm going to say. Are we doing pretty little flowers? Are we doing more of an overall kind of flower effect? So more white showing there for sure. Or this one here is just an oval. So we had two whites. Yes, we're going to go with white this time, Judy. So flowers, I think maybe the first flowers, right? Probably this guy right here. I think probably he's going to be the most effective. So the great thing about these is that you get like 24 of these panels. You get 4 each of every single one of them. So you can make up a ton of these. Think how pretty each of these would look, and they'll look completely different. So you can see, okay, so we have a few flowers. Thank you, ladies. Flowers it is. I agree. I think the flowers are especially pretty. And what I really like about this is that we have some spots where there isn't any color. So you can see, and that's really cool because it draws the eyes in a little bit closer, I think. Okay, so I'm going to cut this down now to be this size. So because I cut them all and they're not all exactly the same size, I'm just going to measure. So that one is, oh, a nice even number. It is 3 7/16 that way. And it is almost exactly 5 the other way. So I want it to be either exactly that size or just a tiny bit smaller so that I can glue it around the outside edges. So I'm just going to put that into my Stampin' Trimmer, and I'm going to have to cut off a little bit. So I just like to look at what part of it I like the most, or I guess like the least. The one that I like the least is what I'm going to cut off. So I'm just going to go on the side here. I don't have nearly as much room on the side to cut off. So I'm going to take my cutter, put it up. So I have to get this down to 5. So I'm going to just cut up. So this is where you get to pick exactly what you want to see of your own design. So I think that's going to be pretty darn close there to being exactly the same as what our piece of laser cut paper is. And I'm going to have this just be a smidge shy of 5. Okay, so this is something you will always need to do because you don't want to see those white edges. And I would not cut it down to be exactly the same size to start with. I would cut it down afterwards so that when I'm putting it together, I can just put it together like this. Okay, so we're going to add that on top of there, and I am going to use my liquid glue. So if you don't have one of these little holders for your liquid glue, let me know. There is a company up in Spruce Grove that makes them for me. And I do have a supply on hand, but you can also get it through their Etsy store. It's called their Cujo 3D, I think is the name. So when I'm doing this, rather than using the sponge and the silicone mat, I just dab on my glue. So I'm just going to dab it on because I find I have a little bit better control over where the glue is going to be. And I'm hardly pressing on my glue bottle, just a very little bit so that you probably can't even see the dots. I'll lift them up once I have them. And I'm just going in a couple places where there's a little bit more paper to put in some of the other dots, because I do want it to lie down as much as possible. I would hate for it to get caught on something and rip just as I'm giving it to somebody. But there's not, when it's so delicate like this, there's not a huge number of places. These bigger flowers are a perfect opportunity. So I'll hold that up. Let me just grab it here. So you can maybe see I have hardly any little dots at all. So we are just going to now place that directly over top. And it doesn't really matter what is my top or my bottom. So I'm just lifting it with both hands, placing it over top. The perfect thing about liquid glue is that I have a little bit of time for wiggle room. So if it doesn't go directly on top where I wanted it, then I have a little bit of time to move it around. Now with your watercolor paper, you do want to have it set up just a little bit longer than you would if it were cardstock. Okay, so that's quite attractive. I think I'm going to put a teeny little bit of glue on a couple of these leaves here. So this is the delicate part. I'm going to take a tiny bit of glue and I am just putting it underneath there. And because it's so delicate, you just want to be very careful. But it's pretty resilient. I haven't really torn one yet. Watch, now I said that. That's just inviting disaster, isn't it? Has anybody got this paper already at home? And if you do, have you been working with it? Have you been playing? Or has it sat because you've been a little bit scared of it? And I think I'll put just a tiny little bit more on this one. And I don't need to do all of it. I just want to have a little bit of glue so that it's not going to move. So I was in Thunder Bay on the weekend. I had a great card making class. 14 ladies were there and they made 10 different cards. So I like to do those kinds of classes. I don't do a lot of them here. Just because people have got their own ideas and they take some designs and just go with them. These are ladies who don't necessarily stamp at home, and so they love having really simple ideas. Okay, now it's decision time again. So you guys have to decide which of the pinks we need to go with. So this is Melon Mambo. This is Lovely Lipstick, and the one here is Berry Burst. Oh, good, Ruth. I'm glad that you have it, and I could see that that would be, these delightfully detailed would be ones that you would like. Did you cut them all up? You haven't used yours yet, Marilyn? I quite like it. Now that I actually played with it, it's been hiding, but now that I've been playing with it, I like it. Okay, do you like it best on the Berry Burst? We've got a Berry Burst already. Or do you like it on the Lovely Lipstick? Or last choice is Melon Mambo. We have 2 Berry Bursts, so I'm going to say that that's good enough and we're going to go with that. Okay, Berry Burst it is. And I've got white here. And so we have, I'm pulling in this ribbon, although we do sort of need a Berry Burst ribbon, don't we? But you know what? I don't think I have any. Hold on just a second. I think we are going to use instead, we're going to use white with silver. Well, tell me, white with silver or the Lovely Lipstick ribbon? Oh, Ruth, you cut 2 sets. Good for you. Did you get 2 of these delightfully detailed, or did you get the beautiful detailed out of the Occasions catalog? Those ones are really pretty. They have a pink on one side, and I think it's white on the other. So white with silver. That's what that's going to look like. Or the Berry Burst, the Lovely Lipstick on top of the Berry Burst. So you can give me an impression there of what you would like. And I'm going to pull out some words here. We're going to decorate it up a little bit. White. Yeah, Marilyn, I think I have to agree with you. I think we're going to go with the white on this one too. Okay, so I am going to put my ribbon around here, and I am again on Facebook Live going to try and, no, I'm not going to do a bow today. Sorry, ladies. I'm going to do a knot. A knot is just so much easier. So how I do my knots is I do left over right and under. Oh, sorry, Barbara. Lovely lipstick. I like that too, but we're going with white. I think maybe my next one I'll use lovely lipstick. So I do left over right and under and through, and I knot it. And then while I'm holding it and I stick my, that's not my index finger, my ring finger, now I do right over left. So my right side, which is here, right, in my right hand, is going over my left and through. There we go, and I just knot that. And you're able to get it fairly tight there. I don't want it super, super tight, but it's fairly tight. So I'm going to leave that for just a moment. And now I've picked one of the, from part of my story, which is one of the celebrations, free celebration sets. So this is part of my story, and it's all just words. And last week we used Let's Get Together, no, a couple weeks ago, the Let's Get Together and Giggle. For the Design with Joe Peeps, we use this Know That Today a Friend is Thinking of You. My other sample has this part of my story. So I think today I'm going to, here's to those who inspire us and don't even know it. So I'm going to use my marker. So this is how you can use a marker when you don't have a stamp pad. So if I wanted, I could use different colors in here. I could color some of it in, what have I got here? Lovely lipstick. And I could do some of it in a different color. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab Berry Burst. So here's my Mini Marvelous markers. And take out my Berry Burst, because I think that'll be a little bit better to coordinate with our Berry Burst cardstock. So you want to use your brush marker. Cheryl loves detailed cards. Yeah, these are so pretty, and they're really very quick to put together. The worst is waiting for the paper to dry, but you can make them all one day, all the backgrounds, make them one day, and then you can just put them all together the next day. So I'm using my brush tip on its side, and I'm just going over top of anywhere where I see that impression is sticking up so that I can get color. I'm just going to put it because it's easier for me when it's on the table. And you want to make sure, go over it a couple times, because when you have your markers, it is easy to miss a spot. So just go over it a couple times, and then while if it's dried, you just want to huff on it. Now, huffing is different than spitting. So you don't want to like get all your saliva behind and just spit. You want to just huff. So all you're doing is breathing some moist air, just in case it happened to dry a little bit. Okay, so you've stamped straight down, straight up. And today I'm using the Everyday Label Punch. Oh, see, and I got looks like I've got ink on my finger somewhere, but we don't need to worry about that because we are going to punch it off. So I think that, well, it's not quite centered. It's hard for me looking at it here, see if I'm getting it centered. So we're gonna do that. And I think we're just gonna do the white on top of there instead. No, we're gonna do a color. Sorry, we're going to do a color, and this is where the lovely lipstick I think will come in. So I'm going to punch again with the lovely lipstick. Okay, I'm just deciding as I go here, and I am going to cut this in half horizontally. So you don't have to worry about making it super straight. You don't have to put it into your Stampin' Trimmer and do it. But what I'm going to do then, I just wanted to create a border with the same punch as what we used. So I'm just going to take my snail, and I'm going to put my snail on the back of my punched out piece. And that makes it a little bit easier for me to put it directly on top here. So I'm going to hold that with just a little bit. I don't want a huge amount, just a little bit of border. And then the other side, do the exact same thing and try and get those sort of similar. They don't have to be exact. All I want is just a little bit of color in behind there. And what I usually do, just to finish it off, because if I look at the back here, and I know nobody is going to see the back, but I usually punch one more and I just put that on the back to cover that up. I know some people would say that use a word that begins with A, is 4 letters, and ends with L, to say that's what I am. And I guess probably that is what I am. I am an accountant after all. Yay for accountants. So there we go. We've got all of our pieces now. We'll close that up. Our ribbon we're done with. We're going to put this on top of here. But first, I want to put this on top of my berry burst, and I'm going to use dimensionals for that. Here we go. And so I forgot my dimensionals when I went to Thunder Bay for my card class. So normally where I would have dimensionals on practically every card, there was only dimensionals on one. Barbara, if you're still around, which one was it that we had dimensionals? The car one, I think it was, right? Yes, Lori, that's right. Pride in your work. I love that. Very definitely. It's not that sound of that other bad word that I'm not going to say on Facebook Live. Oh, and when you drop it down onto your card, that's not what you want to do. Sticks very well. Okay, on top of my berry burst. Now, this is not going to be exactly the same amount of paper all the way around. So if that's something that bothers you, and this person who takes pride in her work, yes, thanks, Barbara, it was, who takes pride in her work, it's not going to bother me this time. And then I'm going to put that down on top of there, and I'm going to use liquid glue for this, just because I don't want another layer of my dimensionals. So I'm going to use my glue because this is just a little bit heavier. That watercolor paper is just slightly heavier than if you had cardstock or Whisper White down there. So we'll just set that up. It's very pretty. I really like the white on there. And then we are going to use dimensionals on our greeting, on our punched greeting. Now, actually, I did that, what I would consider wrong, because I've got my ribbon going this way. So if I put my 2 dimensionals on there and there, it's going to stick to the ribbon. It may not stick and stay nice and flat against the card. So I'm going to take this off. Normally I would probably only use 2, and I would have put top and bottom. And I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to put it, actually, is that already? No, it's not. Because I put my dimensionals on the back and not over top of the ribbon, I can still move my ribbon around because I do want this to go here. And I'm going to just cut off my ends. So if you have a pair of scissors that you love, like these ones that I have, you want to only probably use them for a ribbon. I've got one little leaf part that sort of bent back, so I'm just going to pull him, there we go, pull him back. So there we go. A really quick card, really. Not a lot of stamping, but looks very detailed, like you spent a ton of time on it. So I don't know, what would you use this card? Would you consider giving somebody this for congratulations, or maybe even a thank you? Teachers, somebody who's taken the time to spend time with you or your children or your grandchildren. So that's our card. Yes, thank you, Ruth. I am a detail person. That is true. So I'm going to show you the other cards that I made. This one, I'm really pleased with this one. That turned out really nice. This was the first one that I made. So I want to tell you the colors that I used here. So you already know the colors on this one. So the colors on this one, they're much softer colors. And I used So Saffron, and I used Pool Party, and I used Lemon Lime Twist on this guy here. And I have the Very Vanilla pointing out, and just some of our Pool Party shimmer ribbon. and then just lemon lime twist for our words. This one I went same colors, exactly the same colors, but I wanted to show you what it looked like with just a strip rather than the entire overall. So because this flower looked a lot like our daisy, I decorated up the daisy and put a little bit of our lemon lime twist in behind there. I've got some subtle embossing folder, and these are the exact same colors here. Although you can't see any of the yellow, you really can only see the lemon lime twist and the pool party. So there's one, and then my last one is one where I went really sort of monochromatic. So I used Poppy Parade. I wanted something just a little bit brighter. Poppy Parade and Calypso Coral, and I think my last color, oh darn, and of course it's written on the back where I can't see it. I'm thinking the last color is probably Powder Pink on there, and I can just see it up here. And this one's a little bit different in that I don't have the border around the outside of my flowers of my circles. So there you go. So which one appeals to you the most? Which one do you think you would easily give to somebody? Which one's your favorite? And what I'd like to have you do too is I love when you guys share and when you comment. So if you can share this with your friends and your other crafting buddies, and for everybody who puts a share in there, your name will go in the draw for next week, and you'll get to choose whichever one of these appeals to you the most, and I will send it to you in the mail if you live away from me, or I'll make sure that I drop it off. So thanks very much for joining me. Again, I love when you share with other people, and what would be great is if you make some of these and post them. Post them on your pages, post them on Design with Jo VIP. Thanks, Barbara. Post them wherever you like to see them in social media, or just make them and keep them for yourself, or send me a picture. I'd love to see what you're doing with them. And this delightfully detailed laser cut paper is beautiful paper, and it's very easy to work with. So if you were thinking it might be a little bit too daunting, it's not really. So thanks again very much. We will see you next week. I'm going to go to a new night. I'm going to start Tuesday evenings at 6:30. And so next Tuesday, that's March, what is that? 3rd, 4th, 5th, then I will be here at 6:30 and we will see you. Thank you, Brenda. I'm glad that you like them, and you like the one we just made. I like those pink ones too. So we'll see you guys. Bye-bye.